White people voted for this democracy.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't, Sissy. No, they didn't.
Yes.
A handful.
Hi guys, welcome to another video. It's Ndagire here. Thanks for coming. Today this is a very exciting video that I really wanted to share with you because I think it's mostly important for us Africans to really understand that we can really stand up for ourselves and teach these people that literally came as invaders to know where they stand and where they should stop, especially when they're talking about things that concern our freedom, our land, our resources, or anything that involves us Africans or as black people as a whole. But yeah guys, watch this clip of a South African black woman schooling the white people on where they should stand and what they really need to understand when they are talking about things concerning Africans or black people as a whole. Get into the video, come back, and let's talk about it.
I think it's about owning the truth of your own story with all of its complexity. So for me, as an educated middle-class woman, I know that when I walk into spaces, I carry a certain currency that is not carried by my brother who can't pee in a toilet that I peed in when I went to Wits.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
But at the same time, I also acknowledge that when I do walk into spaces, for example, going into very poor, disenfranchised communities, I also have to acknowledge that the dysfunction that I see that exists in those communities is part of my historical baggage. I carry it within me. It's in my family, it's in my heart, it's in my choices. And what is worrisome is seeing people who own so much power in terms of land, in terms of resources, in terms of people you employ, in terms of the language that you've taken from these people and used to create a nation. You own so much power, but do you concede that? Do you acknowledge that? Do you own that? If you owned a little bit of that, it would be easy to come to the table with you. It would be easy to acknowledge death is death, pain is pain. I mean, there were 350 years of conscription in this country. It's only one generation of white men who didn't go into the military. How much pain exists in white families? I'd be willing to hear that more than I'm willing to hear that your pain is your pain only, because everybody in this room is carrying pain.
But I don't believe the debate from our side. The debate from our side has never been to negate your pain, nor has it ever been about saying that we want back to where we came from.
All of our countries, but acknowledge it's all of ours. It's all of ours. It's all of ours. It's my country. That's fine.
It's not yours. It's not yours.
This is not the place. This is not the place. Sir?
It's my country.
Yes, sir. This is not the place.
It's everyone's country.
Everybody wearing this beret are saying we don't belong here.
Okay.
White people voted for this democracy.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't, Sissy. No, they didn't.
Yes.
A handful. Did you vote ANC in 1994?
I'm not talking about the ANC. Please listen. In 1992, white people had a referendum to decide whether they're going to allow the vote. And we gave the vote because we thought that what was happening was
It wasn't yours
wrong.
to give. Do you acknowledge that? It was not your country to take in the first place. But we acknowledge the fact that you are here. We acknowledge that you are here.
No one can hear you at this point, so I'd like to actually have a conversation. Okay. And I'll ask for tolerance in this room, please. Tolerance. All right, Sinet?
What I'm saying is that I don't think the problem is with people on the ground, even the people sitting here. People who govern and politicians are determining the success of what is happening on the ground. Right. We have rhetoric where people go on stages and say the colonists must go and we stole the land and we stole the mines. The Brits took the mines. Buddha never had mines. And we can't keep on having that rhetoric and move forward. Every time I switch on a television or I put on a radio and Julius Malema says that we don't belong here, and what is happening? It's a problem. You cannot preach reconciliation to one segment of the country and preach empowerment to the other segment.
All right.
There's a vast difference between, and I agree with you, there's a vast difference between rhetoric that's used to manipulate the population and sway people and the truth. Ne? And I would be interested in hearing how white people process the emotional baggage of what their ancestors did. I would be interested in trying to understand what it did to white families. How much silence did white people have to cope with? How did white people build a shield around themselves to be able to deal with the system in which whiteness operated all these years? That's an emotional conversation. That's a delicate conversation. I'd be willing to do the work of trying to unravel that, because right now as a black person, I'm trying to do the work of unraveling my own baggage, my own historical baggage. I think when white people start to do that work, then we'll start to begin the project of trying to understand how all of us belong to this place. But you can't erase history. We can't pretend the violence didn't happen. We can't pretend colonialism didn't happen. We can't pretend people weren't slaves. We can't pretend our people are not poor. It happened. It happened. I'd be willing to hear white people say, you know what, it was Kak trying to pretend that this situation was normal. But I'm not hearing white people do that work.
All right.
What would that?
All right. Because you're with the EFF.
Yes, I am with the EFF.
Explain that to me.
Well, I explained in a simple fashion that in this country we've got more than 70% of the nation that's living in utter poverty. And if you go into the townships and especially in the squatter camps and you say how children are living, we're talking about kids. We're not talking about black, white, color. We're talking about kids. So when I look at economic freedom fighters, we are looking at changing this country to bring it into a social system where there will be no class, where the state can take control and we can live in a society where everybody can be brought up to the same level. The thing of the Rainbow Nation that did not work, reconciliation can only work if we both reconcile. You cannot have Nelson Mandela giving forgiveness for a racist group of people that oppressed black people in the apartheid era and say, let us forgive them. They don't come forward and say, yes, we accept your forgiveness, let's reconcile with each other. They don't do that. We still have people in the audience here. We still have people in the audience here, like a gentleman there when she was talking about the black people being more educated and can actually contest for a position. I had a comment say, yeah, let's kill them. It's those comments that makes people to be killed on farms also. Because when you undermine a black person in this country longer, they are going to kill you.
I am also quite offended. It just shows that white people have so much privilege.
We're all the same, right?
Please don't disturb her, she's speaking. Yes. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but my voice is not land. You can't colonize it. So for me, white people have so much privilege to be able to avoid talking about topics like this. Because you said racism is a difficult conversation for you to have. Black people do not have the privilege of avoiding the conversation because they live in those conditions. Their entire beings are tied to that, and they somehow have to make it out of the townships. They have to make it big for their family. And then added on top of that is the guilt that so many successful black people feel because they don't believe they deserve that success, while the rest of their family is at home, still under this big boot of the white man. So no, please don't tell me that white people do not owe us an apology, because they do. And they have never given us that apology.
I am yet to find a history book about Europeans that can be trusted. I am yet to find a history book where Europeans have not come into Africa and taken from Africa, dispossessed and harmed Africans. I'm yet to find this book, so I'm going to need you to kindly point me to the book that I need to read, where it is that Africans could trust Europeans and they kept their word. That's all I need. We are yet to meet the Europeans that we can trust, that has actually kept their word and has delivered on that promise. We are still working towards structures, we are still working towards relationship building and nation building in order for us to get to the point where you can say that this is hate, because what he says, it's true. So until then, nah.
Well guys, as you've seen the video, that was really interesting. I don't know about you, but me, I liked it, especially seeing African women raising their voices and not accepting to be silenced. I loved the resilience because it shows that we are in a time where we are able to speak and say our truth as African people, as black people, because most of the times we've been put in a position that if you have a white person in front of you, like, you have to listen, you have to give attention, you have to listen to them so much for them to say what they have to say. But these women, these people were not accepting it. And I loved that, because I wish Africans could have that spirit where it's not even to attack anyone,
but to just be bold and say the truth of what it is. It's always like we are to be reminded of our history, and you know, we are told to work on ourselves and improve on ourselves and take accountability, which I do accept we should in some instances. But when it comes to these people, the palm-colored people, they don't really look into like the history of them as a people, as a collective. It's always individual, which is like crazy. It should be collective, just like it is collective when it comes to us as a people, by the systems available that don't really benefit us in some instances. So when they start to see us tell them these things, I think maybe they'll get to understand the reality that the world is changing and it's no longer in their favor, because it's always been them writing our history, them telling us what to do, them invading our countries. And what was also funny is the white woman telling the African woman that them as white people gave rights to the black people to vote. And I mean, it wasn't their country. They didn't have any right to even give the people that own land to vote in any way. How could you invade someone and still say, like, bluntly come out, especially now in these times of, like, let's say 2024, and tell someone, like, I gave you right to vote in your country. I came and invaded, but I gave you right to vote. You should be grateful. Let's forget about the history and all that. It's always them wanting us to forget history, but they never ever take accountability of their history. We are supposed to, as Africans, black people, to look into our history and learn from it. But it's not on their case. They are the perfect group of people that literally, you know, changed civilization, as they call it. And it's just weird and crazy. So seeing the strength and the power these African women carried, and as well the lady that was telling the white man not to shut her down because she's not land, she can't be colonized, was the most funniest thing ever. It made me crack up. I really did. Like, she is so strong, and it's the time we are not so afraid. We are really not afraid on, you know, speaking our minds. And this is the spirit that is rising up in the African continent. As you can see, a lot of African countries, like in the Western Africa, are rising up into their power, chasing out the colonial powers, like the Burkina Faso, Niger, Senegal. Guys, you see what's happening in there? That is the spirit that is coming back to the continent that we need to push and be really strong when we say that we are rising as a continent, and we need to do some adjustment as a people. We need to change. We need to work together. We need to develop our continent, and especially write our own history, because I mean, the more we study the history that was written by another group of people that really dominated us, there is no way we are going to change as a people. We need to start on those sectors, improve on our technology, improve on us as a people, work as a collective. I think that's very, very important. But I don't really have a lot to say in this video. I think everyone really said what they had to say. Also, the sister that was saying, she has never seen in history where Europeans or anyone from other races that has ever genuinely helped Africans to get independence or freedom. It has never happened. They've always betrayed. Every time they came, they always wanted to be on top. It has never been an equal kind of situation. So really, this is the time I keep emphasizing that we should raise our voices, we should work together, we should improve on ourselves as a people and grow if we want to come as a top continent, as a top nation. Also by calling out the same people in our communities, like our leaders that betray us every single day and sell off our resources. And I mean, if we keep quiet about that situation as well, coming out and having discussions like this is not going to solve anything if we still do not call out the same people in our community that do the most to put us down and make us look and feel disrespected by other groups of people. Well, yeah, guys, that is it for me in the video. Let me know what you think about this. I love the faces on the palm-colored people when they're being confronted, because I mean, the more we say the reality of what is going on, the more they will have sense into realizing that it's no longer in their favor. Privilege is not, really working a lot, and we shouldn't ever keep quiet as black people, as Africans, when they are in our faces. It's no longer their time to have that power onto us. But that is it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll see you, we'll get in touch in the next video. Bye.